So I connected to the audio on within the Zoom call, and right now the audio is playing through the phone speakers. Hi. So in this video I'm going to be showing how to use OBS Studio in such a way that you can use it as a virtual camera and stream its both video and audio to any app that supports video calls. So this is basically the overall topic that we're going to be discussing here. So we're going to be discussing two pieces of software here essentially. It's OBS Studio and PulseAudio. So let's jump right in. There's quite a lot of ground to cover, but let's start at the beginning. Basically, the software that you need to install to do what I'm about to explain. So the first package is OBS Studio. So on Debian, that's you install it with by running sudo apt install OBS-studio. So that's the first thing, the OBS Studio itself. Then the PulseAudio, again sudo apt install. There's going to be two packages here. The first one is PulseAudio itself, and then there's also a graphical interface that's pretty useful to have, which will basically show you all of your current devices that are available to PulseAudio, and you can like adjust the volume there and like change some settings and so on. So that package is called pavucontrol. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced, but that's how I pronounce it. Like I assume that PA stands for PulseAudio, and VU, I'm not sure what it stands for. So, but that's the package, pavucontrol. So install those two things, and we're gonna need 3 more packages, and these are basically to enable to allow OBS Studio to use its a virtual camera. So basically, so that it can take whatever like you set up in your scene, like whatever screen captures, like webcams and so on, like what OBS Studio's main screen is showing. It can it makes a virtual camera out of it, which you can simply select in your app like Zoom or like whatever app that supports video calls. You can simply select it as a camera, and that video will be sent over the call. So the 3 packages that you need to install for this, actually let me copy this so that I don't make any typos here. So this first one is a V4L2 Loopback DKMS. That's the main one that enables virtual camera, and these other 2 are, you might not even need them. Like if you have a desktop environment installed, something like KDE or XFCE, something like that, you might want to kind of first just install V4L2 Loopback DKMS and see if it works, and then like these 2 packages. The reason that I'm mentioning them is because if you look at my previous videos, you'll know that I'm running a minimal install of Debian, so I haven't actually installed any desktop environment like XFCE or KDE, and I'm using Awesome Window Manager as my graphical environment. And like I had to install these additional 2 packages, and these basically these 2, pkexec and lxpolkit, they simply allow you to enter your password when OBS will ask for it. Basically, the first time you start the virtual camera, OBS asks you for it. So you need these 2 packages if you have some setup that already doesn't have that taken care of, like some setup like mine, for example. Alright, so these are the things that you need to install in order to continue with this tutorial. So now let's open up pavucontrol and see what it looks like. So in Awesome Window Manager, I can simply press Super plus R and then type or start typing pavucontrol and then hit Tab. It'll auto-complete it and it'll open up the interface. So the first time you open it, you'll see something like this, except for certain virtual devices that I have already set up here. So let's kind of orient ourselves in this environment so that we know what's what, at least the parts of it that are going to be relevant for what we're doing here right now. So on the first tab, it says Playback. So every app that you launch here will actually have you can select an output for each individual app here. Like for example, let me run something. Like let me try just opening a video. So for example, I opened MPV right now, and you can see over here that an entry for MPV player has appeared. So like every app that you launch that outputs sound will pop up here, and you can select a different device for each individual app. So this is awesome. It's very flexible and allows for a lot of customization. So that's the first thing to note. Now this recording tab, let's skip this for now. And actually I don't think I'm gonna be talking about it unless I'm forgetting something, but basically let's skip this and let's take a look at these two tabs, output devices and input devices, because these two are the what we are going to be working with the most. So right now I have quite a few things here. So over here at the bottom, there's actually a way to filter things out. So for example, I can select only hardware output devices. So you will actually see something like this unless you already have some virtual devices set up on your system. You'll see something like this. So here's my built-in audio from my laptop, and here is like an HDMI output on my laptop as well. And this is like the output for my like my microphone that I'm recording on right now. Has a built-in audio card, so this is the third audio audio card basically, or audio output that is available on my system. Now those are hardware, and the virtual ones are these three that I have set up, and this is actually what this tutorial is about. So this is what we're going to be understanding first, like how it all works, and then creating so that you can reproduce something similar on your system. So this is what we're going to be setting up in this tutorial. Now, actually, let's go back to the Playback tab for a second. We can also like filter things over here. So like we can select applications, and then it will only show the apps. So like there's some OBS stuff appearing here right now because I'm using OBS to record this video. There's one app that I have running over here, and if I open up that MPV player again, it's popping up over here amongst applications. So this is useful to like kind of filter things out if there's too many things appearing at once. If you select all streams, there's quite a lot of them. And like in the virtual streams, we have these two loopback devices. That's also what we're going to be setting up in this tutorial. So yeah, there's that. And finally, let's go back to, we looked at the output, and now let's take a look at the input devices. So so if I select all input devices, there's quite a few things here, but pavucontrol already has some categories here for us so that we can understand things better. And let's so let's take a look at the hardware input devices first. Here's my built-in mic from my laptop. This is the microphone that I'm recording on right now, Blue Yeti, and this is the audio from my webcam. So these are the hardware inputs. Now, virtual input devices are again the ones that we are going to be creating. We're going to be creating basically 3 virtual outputs or virtual speakers, 3 virtual inputs or virtual microphones, in other words, and also 2 loopbacks. So these are the things that we're going to be setting up, and I'm going to explain how all that fits together in a second. So also one thing to note is that there's this monitors category here as well. And if you take a look at this, you'll notice that every single device, whether virtual or hardware, every single output device has a monitor. So like let's take a look here. So for example, let's list all output devices. And so if we take a look here, so the first one is HDA, NVIDIA Digital Stereo, HDMI. And then we have in input devices, if we filter it down only to the monitors, we have monitor of HDA, NVIDIA Digital Stereo, HDMI. And the same goes for every single output device. Every output device, like built-in analog audio, analog stereo, has it's a monitor of built-in audio analog stereo, and so do the virtual devices. So a virtual speaker, one non-streaming apps, has a monitor of virtual speaker, one non-streaming apps. So a monitor is essentially something that can act as an input device, but it monitors the output of an output device. So like, for example, you can use the monitor of built-in analog stereo to monitor the audio that's coming out of my laptop speakers, and then have it like captured by some piece of software like OBS, for example. That's how OBS captures sound from your computer, because there's this monitor basically. Also, one thing that I wanted to mention about monitors is that basically not all apps will kind of give you access to monitors. So like OBS does have it, because it kind of it can record. It's made for that. Like, it's made to be able to capture audio from like any sound card on your computer. So it takes that data from the monitor of that device. But like some other apps, like if you open up, I don't know, like your like something like Zoom or something, like some app that has an ability to select a microphone, it will only list microphones. So like not all apps give you access to monitors, but like some do, yeah, that's just something to know, that like they're not like the same as microphones. They're just a special category that is quite similar, but not all apps will have access to them. So yeah, these are monitors, and you can also go and filter out the monitors by selecting this all except monitors option, and then it will only list input devices that are not monitors, like actual microphones or virtual microphones. So so this is what we have. Okay, so we've taken a look at this pavucontrol interface, and hopefully it gave you a good idea of like of what we're going to be working with, like what elements are involved and such. But now let's switch over to this screen, and let's kind of talk a little bit about the terms that PulseAudio uses, and kind of try to understand how like certain things fit together. So let's just start. Basically, the one thing that I wanted to just like mention right off the bat is that PulseAudio uses these terms sync and source. And basically, let's start with source. So a source is an input device. So I already have this like diagram that I pre-drew that explains the entire setup, and like we're gonna get into it later in this tutorial. But basically, I use the red color to in that diagram to kind of label the inputs. So I'll just use it over here as well. So sources are inputs. And then a sync is an output, and I use green for output, so on that diagram as well. So let's, for consistency, use green over here as well. So basically, source is an input and sync is an output. So now that we know that, it will make way more sense when we look at the PulseAudio configuration file that we're going to be creating. I will share this configuration file and leave a link to it in the description. But basically, the config file that we're going to be editing is going to be located in home.config pulse and then default.pa. So if you don't have a folder there already, just create the folder named pulse in your .config directory, and then a file there as well called default.pa. So let's open it up and just take a look. So the reason I wanted to mention these like terms source and sync first is so that we understand what things are referring to in this config file a bit easier. Basically, the first line over here, it says include, and then it has this path to another file. Like that file, I can open it just to show you. That's a default configuration file, a system-wide configuration file that gets installed when you install PulseAudio. So it's etc pulse, and it's also called default.pa. Like you could edit it in principle. I mean, there's nothing preventing you from doing that. But it's also not necessary, and I personally prefer not to touch the system-wide configuration files unless there is no kind of user-specific configuration file available. So like in this case, we can simply include the system-wide file, and all the options that were set here by default will still be set, and this user-specific config file will override the system configuration, but we include the system-wide configuration in it, so you lose nothing this way, basically. So, so this is what this first line does. Now, so we have like two blocks here, like this if exists line over here. And over here, they simply check if the module that is necessary to create virtual sinks and virtual sources exists. Like it comes with PulseAudio by default. Like, I mean, I saw someone do this in the tutorial. I'm not really sure if it's even necessary, if this module comes by like with the package. Basically, is there like is there any need to create this if statement? Like, is there any chance that the module is missing? I'm not sure, but like I put it in, so that's what that does. And then like in these two blocks, we have these lines that basically set up our virtual devices. And also the same for loopbacks and two loopback devices. These two lines set up the default sync and default source that you that basically if you open an app for the first time, this is what it's gonna pick if it has no other indication. If you have used it and like you could change the and change stuff like over here and pavucontrol, for example, then it will remember that like, oh, you used this device before, so I'll select that. But otherwise, these are the defaults. So these are what these this is what these parts do. So since we talked about monitors already, let's go back for a second to this blackboard over here, or whiteboard, or whatever, and kind of remind ourselves that those monitors exist. And basically, like over here in this diagram, you can see that like I have monitors written in orange. So let me see, just to be consistent, I'm checking how I drew it over there. So like an output, any output, be it a speaker or a virtual speaker, virtual output, it will have a monitor. And like, just to kind of reiterate this, every output that is listed in output devices has a monitor. Monitors appear in input devices. You can see them if you select, like over here, go to this menu, you can select monitors, and they will be listed, like only them, excluding all the other input devices. That's how you can see all of the monitors. But every single output device has a monitor amongst input devices. So basically, monitor is similar to an input device. So that's something to note. So now let's go back to that config file and take a look at what we're doing here. First, I guess, like, let's figure out like one more term. Basically, you can see that we're adding these commands over here, but the name of the module for a virtual output is called null sync. Like, why is it called null sync? Well, if we go to PulseAudio documentation and find the section for module null sync, it's written over here, like the module provides a simple null sync. All data written to the sync is silently dropped. So basically, all of the output that you direct to that output device would be silently dropped. And then it's kind of like the next obvious question is like, well, what's the point in having it? The point is that this every null sync also has a monitor. And so we can connect that monitor to a virtual input device, or like how in PulseAudio it is called a virtual source. So in these three commands over here, you can see that it sets master to virtual speaker 1.monitor, and virtual speaker 1 is this. So basically, this device, it doesn't output anything anywhere, but it has a monitor, so you can listen in on it basically. And this is what this microphone is listening in on, or this virtual microphone is listening in on. And so these like virtual speaker 1, or like virtual microphone 1 listens in on virtual speaker 1. Virtual microphone 2 listens in on virtual speaker 2. Virtual microphone 3 listens in on virtual speaker 3. This is how I set it up. I have a set of 3 virtual outputs and 3 virtual inputs, and the inputs listen in on the outputs through the monitor of the respective output. So I hope that makes sense. Like if we go back to our whiteboard, so we have a virtual microphone, let's say number 1, and then we have a virtual speaker, and then this virtual speaker has a monitor, let's say monitor of this virtual speaker, right? And the data from the monitor, the sound, is directed to the virtual microphone. So this is how we have. Let me try to save some space because I'm gonna be drawing more stuff there. But basically, the monitor, the audio from the monitor is directed to the virtual microphone, and same for virtual microphone 1, virtual speaker 1 work as a pair, and 2 and 3 same way. So that's that. So now we almost got all the necessary ingredients to put this system together. One thing that we haven't talked yet about is loopbacks. So let's talk about those. So if we go to the config file, we can see over here that there's 2 loopbacks, and the first one takes the monitor of virtual speaker 1 as the source, and it directs that to also output PCI and so on. So like what this stands for is my laptop's audio card, like basically the main one that I'm using. So now how do you get this value? It's not mentioned anywhere over here, like in pavucontrol, but you can get it very easily on the command line. It is pacmd list sinks. So you can list sinks or sources. So the commands are pacmd list sinks or list sources. Let's start with sinks. I'll pipe this to less so that we can read it and scroll through the output easier. So here we go, and like the best way to navigate this output I found is you simply press the / key, and in less than that allows you to search through the output. And if you just search for this word index, this way you can use N and Shift N to jump forward and backwards to the next and the previous index. Kind of interesting that it shows index 0, but then it's followed by 2 right away. Not sure why that is, but that's how it is. So let's see. Somewhere like this output is quite long and kind of not easiest to read, but analog stereo, yeah, that's the one that we were looking for. I'm just looking for here, like device.description says built-in audio analog stereo. So that's how you can kind of relate them to what you see in this graphical interface. Built-in audio analog stereo. And you get the name for the one that you need, and the name is the next line after the index. You simply get this value, and you put it here. So that's how you can figure out like the name for your audio card. You can also, like I said, list sources. Let's just take a look at how that looks. It's exactly the same format. The only difference is it lists input devices instead of output devices. So that's how you get those values. So now let's go back to our Blackboard here. Let me move some things around so that we have a bit more space. All right, this should do. So basically, let's now kind of understand what a loopback does and why we need them in the first place. We need them to be able to hear what is playing on our virtual virtual speaker or virtual output, like this stuff, the green stuff, right? So basically, with the loopback, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be connecting a virtual speaker with a real speaker that I'll just call speaker there, through a monitor of the virtual speaker. So let's see. So virtual speaker sends some data to a monitor of itself, right? And then a loopback. Let me see, what was the color coding? Purple. So then we'll use this purple color to. This is the loopback. So in order to hear what is playing on the virtual speaker, we need those loopbacks. So now I have two of them here, and this is like at this point we're gonna start looking into like why I created like two virtual speakers, one for non-streaming apps and one for streaming apps, and what I mean by that. So basically, if you want to play what is going on your computer via a call, the person on the other end cannot hear themselves talking. But because like the app that the call is taking place in is also running in your computer, and it is outputting audio, the voice of the person, so that you can hear what they're saying. Like that audio cannot go back to that person for them to hear, because that will cause a feedback loop, and that's not gonna work. So that is why we need two separate virtual speakers, one for streaming apps and non-streaming apps. So that's what I call them. Basically, non-streaming apps is everything that is not your call app. Like it's not Zoom, it's not like, I don't know, like whatever else you might use for your video call. It's not that. So like those are the two categories. And like for non-streaming apps, it's like, for example, like a video player, or like a game on your computer that you're playing that you want to show the person on the other end, like how you're playing it, so that they can also hear it. And like for streaming apps, will be kind of that audio will only go to your ears, but not to the other person. So that's why we need two of them. So remember how earlier I like played a video here? So something like this, like this can be a game, this can be like a video player like I have right now, is a non-streaming app. That's what I called a non-streaming app over here. So let me open up pavucontrol now, and let me select applications here. So we can see that MPV media player is outputting audio to virtual speaker 1, non-streaming apps. But like actually this might be a good point for me to start like a Zoom call. All right, so I started Zoom, like a Zoom meeting, and right now you can see that Zoom is set to virtual speaker 2, streaming apps. So they are going to separate virtual devices, and the way that you select like the way that you assign this output devices, you simply open up pavucontrol and you select it from the menu, like over here. So if you are launching that app for the first time, you just go over here and then you select the appropriate device, and yeah, that's how you do it. So okay, so that's the difference between streaming apps and non-streaming apps. So hopefully now this diagram might start making more sense. So let's talk about it. Okay, so now let's talk about this diagram, and let's basically go through it and see what the different parts of it are referring to. So in blue here you can see the different categories of apps that we have. So the first one is non-streaming apps. That's like a video player, a game, something like that. Something that you basically that does not have a person on the other end of the call. Non-streaming apps output to virtual speaker 1. Then streaming apps is something where you have a person on the other end of the call, something like Zoom or like any other video call app, basically. And streaming apps output to virtual speaker 2. Then and then OBS outputs to virtual speaker 3. And let me open up OBS's settings here for a second and show you. So yeah, if you go to OBS's settings and then go to audio and scroll down here to this advanced section, you can select a monitoring device. So this is what that for. So OBS, we set it to virtual speaker 3, and I have the monitoring device for OBS set to virtual speaker 3 here. So so that's how you do that. And then you should also check this box which says low latency audio buffering mode. Basically, I tried it without ticking that box, and then the video was lagging basically when I tried to stream it over like over Zoom and stuff like that. So yeah, then I ticked this box and that fixed the problem. But it also gives you this warning over here. It says low latency audio buffering is enabled, and it says that it may cause audio to glitch or stop playing from some sources. So I never experienced any issues with that, but yeah, there's this warning, so I don't know. But it worked perfectly fine for me. So that's what I did. I checked this box, and that sorted out the latency issue. So so OBS outputs to virtual speaker 3. Now each virtual speaker, like we discussed earlier, has a monitor. Over here we have virtual speaker 1, and it has a monitor. So if we look here, we have virtual speaker 1, non-streaming apps. That's what it's used for, non-streaming apps. And it has a monitor that's called monitor of virtual speaker 1 non-streaming apps, which can be seen in the input devices section. So, and the same goes for the virtual speaker 2 and 3. So that's that. Now, so apps output to like dedicated virtual speakers, and each of those virtual speakers has a monitor. Now, I also have these virtual microphones set up for each virtual speaker, basically so that there is always a virtual microphone that's playing what is being sent to each virtual speaker. But as you can see, the virtual microphone 1 and 2 here, they are kind of redundant. I don't have them connected to anything, but I basically let me see. But I just created them anyways, because if I didn't, so basically I could skip these two lines and not create those devices. But then I would just only have like virtual microphone 3, and like that's just kind of asymmetrical and confusing, and the whole system is already pretty complicated. So I decided to keep it kind of like one-to-one and just create those virtual devices anyway, and maybe like they'll come in handy at some point, and if not, they don't like interfere with anything, and this way kind of this whole system, it makes a bit more sense. So you might choose to like omit them. That'll work just fine, because OBS can take the input directly from the monitors. Let me show you that. So if I open up OBS's settings again, and let's see. So if I go to audio again, here we have like two desktop audio sections. Let me actually show you my entire no, wait a sec. Let me basically show you my OBS screen. Here it is. I'm recording right now, so I'll hide the preview so that there's no picture-in-picture going on. And yeah, like so. If I go to audio here, I can select any of those, any output device that I want. But the reason I can do that is because each output device has a monitor, and OBS can pick up audio from monitors. That's what it's made for. It's made to capture like audio from your desktop, for example, and stuff like that. So that's why it has those options. But like an app like Zoom or something else, like any kind of video call app, won't have that available. So that's why we need to have a virtual microphone that's called virtual microphone 3 here. So for this, you actually need to have a virtual microphone that listens in, like that takes the signal from that monitor, and then you can direct it to your apps. It's mostly gonna be most likely gonna be only to streaming apps that you'll need it, but it's also available for non-streaming apps. So I also drew that arrow as well. But it's mostly for this, for going to streaming apps, so that OBS can, so that this, where is that? So that OBS can output its audio through this monitoring device, which I talked about just earlier. So it outputs that through to virtual speaker 3 through that monitoring device. Then it goes to the monitor of virtual speaker 3, then to the virtual microphone 3, and then to your apps. So that's how the apps get the audio from OBS. So you just select your device over here. So it already has 2 slots for desktop audio, which I used for this. So virtual speaker 1 non-streaming apps, and virtual speaker 2 streaming apps. And then they appear over here in this audio mixer section. I also added a mic auxiliary audio. I set it to my Yeti, Blue Yeti microphone, and then I also added a backup mic for my, which is just like I set it to my built-in laptop's mic, just in case something doesn't work, and so I have like an extra audio track. But yeah, that's optional basically. Now if you click on this audio mixer area, right click, you can open this advanced audio properties window. By the way, that's also where you can rename your devices to whatever you want. But we're interested right now in this advanced audio properties. So now let's talk for a second about recording. So right now I'm recording, and over here you can see this tracks section. Let's see what that's all about. So it's basically the file that that OBS Studio is recording right now will have 6 tracks, so it can have 6 tracks. If you go to your settings again and then go to output audio, you can set like an individual bitrate for those tracks, and you can also name them, which I gave them like names here, so that like the video file with audio tracks, so that those tracks are named in that file, so that you like if you open it in MPV, each audio track will have its name, and probably like Kdenlive or something like that will also pick up that data somewhere, but I haven't looked into that. But basically, yeah, I don't know if Kdenlive, I can't recall Kdenlive picking up that information, but it's probably somewhere in there. It's nice to name them so that you remember what you kind of dedicated them to, what you're using them for. And basically the way you decide what audio goes to each track is you set these tick boxes over here. So the first track, it has the main microphone, then the desktop audio 1 and 2, so all desktop audio and main microphone mixed. On the second track I have only the main microphone audio, then on the third track I have the mix of both desktop audios. On the tracks 4 and 5, I kind of just maxed out all of my options here, and just on track 4 I have desktop audio 1 non-streaming apps, and on track 5 desktop audio 2 streaming apps, just in case like it comes in handy at some point, like if I record some video where I would like to adjust the levels of each of those devices separately, then I can do that. And then this track number 6 I set to my backup microphone. So this is how you can like decide what you're recording, how your recording will be laid out when it comes to audio tracks. Now back to streaming the audio and video over a video call app. It is very important that you select the correct setting over here. So you want to select monitor and output for the main microphone, basically so that the person on the other end of the call can hear you. So and you also want to select monitor and output for your desktop audio 1, which is like non-streaming apps, your game, your video player, etc., but not for desktop audio 2 streaming apps, because then the person on the other end of the call would hear themselves, and that's not what you want. That would create a feedback loop. So remember, we set that monitoring device in the settings over here in audio in this advanced section, monitoring device, virtual speaker 3. So that's what this is referring to, this monitoring. So like you have to like monitor and output. Output basically goes to the recording, yeah, when you set it to monitor off, then it only goes to recording. So that means like monitor off but output on. It's kind of like a bit of a confusing language here, I think, but that's what it means. And then you can also select monitor only, and then it won't output, like that won't be recorded, but it will go to the monitoring device. So but the way I have it set up over here is basically monitor off for desktop audio 2. That's very important. The monitor on desktop audio 2 streaming apps should be off. But what you do want the person on the other end of the call to hear, you want to enable monitoring. And if you also are recording your stream, then you want it to be output as well. So I set it to monitor and output. for the main microphone and the audio for non-streaming apps, but the audio for streaming apps is only being recorded but not monitored. So this is very important, and this is what we've been looking at our diagram over here. Like, this is what this arrow represents, so that you don't want the audio from Virtual Speaker 2 to go into Virtual Speaker 3. You don't want the streaming app to hear its own output. Like, see, if you go like from here over here, then down here into OBS, Virtual Speaker 3, monitor of Virtual Speaker 3, Virtual Microphone 3, and then goes back into your streaming app, your video call. So that's what you don't want. That's what this arrow, this crossed out arrow here represents. The speaker and the microphone here refer to like the physical microphone and speaker, not the virtual ones, but the real ones. So OBS is recording from the microphone and from the monitor of virtual microphone, from the monitor of Virtual Speaker 1 and 2. So this is what is going into OBS. And then we also have these loopbacks over here, which basically simply take the audio from Virtual Speaker 1 and 2 and direct them to your speaker. That's like so in the config, this is what this part does. So as you can see, source Virtual Speaker 1 monitor and source Virtual Speaker 2 monitor go to this also output such and such. So that's what this does. And also the default sync is set to Virtual Speaker 1 because probably most apps that you will kind of have on your computer will be non-streaming apps. So whenever you have like an app that has a video call capability, you just go into your pavucontrol and you find it, like here Zoom for example is running right now, and you just set it to Virtual Speaker 2 instead. So yeah, this is why the default sync is Virtual Speaker 1. So you can always hear whichever Virtual Speaker 1 or 2 an app outputs to you, they are always looped back to the speaker of your choice. Okay, so now I think I explained this diagram. I hope it made sense. So now let's kind of test it out and see what this setup can do. So I have a Zoom call already running over here. I mean, if I just move the Zoom window in here right now, there will be a picture-in-picture effect. So instead of like struggling with all of that stuff, I'm gonna use, let me hide this for a second. I'm gonna just use my phone over here. So I'll just show basically the call directly into the camera so that there's no picture-in-picture stuff going on. So let me log into, or like join my own call right now, but from a different device. Okay, so I started a call here, or like I joined my own call, and as you can see, there's the same video as appearing on my phone as I have on my screen right now. It's just like going picture-in-picture. So I'm gonna go ahead and start a game and just like show you how this all works. But in order to achieve this, I'll have to temporarily set this to monitor off, because I can't have my own voice coming out of the phone while I'm going to be demonstrating the audio from the game is actually coming from the phone. You'll be able to hear the game audio coming from the phone speakers just to show that it works, but not my voice, because otherwise I'd get a feedback loop. So yeah, that's that. Let's see. So I'll set it to off, but I'll set desktop audio 1 to monitor an output. Of course, when you'll be having an actual call, you want to have monitor and output as well, because you want the people on the other end of the call to be able to hear you. So, but this is just for this demonstration. Monitor off. Let's see, I'm going to, what am I gonna do? I'm going to start a game. This is complicated. Okay, so the game is running. So what do I do now? Now I'm going to join the audio on my phone, and you should be able to hear the game's audio from there. There we go. There it is. So I connected to the audio on the within the Zoom call, and right now the audio from is playing through the phone speakers. I can see that my mic is picking it up. I'm also recording the audio from the game on my computer, just like just coming from RetroArch directly. But in this segment of the video, I'm going to show I'm going to play the only the audio that's coming from the phone speakers. So yeah, so this is the demonstration. So if I was doing an actual call, of course I would remember to go into advanced audio properties and make sure to select my microphone to monitor and output, so that it can be both recorded if needed and monitored, but that monitor will just send the audio to the app, to Zoom, or something like that. So yeah, this is basically it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful and that it helps you set up something similar in your system. And this way you can pretty easily just kind of stream whatever video you want, not just your webcam, but pretty much set up any OBS scene and have it streamed over something like Zoom or any other video call app. Like you can easily, for example, switch a camera. Let me see if I can do that. So for example, like this, I have this, like this is my built-in laptop's camera, but it's also working just so like this way you could switch cameras, for example, or like suddenly add a screen capture and stuff like that. So this is very handy and kind of nice to have. Of course, a lot of those apps also have screen capture capabilities, but this is just kind of an alternative way to stream any kind of like screen capture or webcam or whatever video you want over any app, regardless of if it supports screen capture or not. So yeah, this is basically it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.